Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Flying Over 50 at Any Age. I am Cyrus Webb, joined by my co-host, celebrity publicist and best-selling author Makeda Smith. Of course, this series is based on her book. You guys can see it here. Welcome you guys tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. Going to connect with our friends over on Instagram. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live so we can get into today's show. The weeks are quickly passing by, and we're so glad you all could be with us for our series. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Flying Over 50 at Any Age, based on the book by my co-host, Makeda Smith. You guys can see it here. You can get it here on Amazon right now in print or the Kindle edition. We're on day number 22. If you can believe that, which is week number 22 of our series. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, make sure you guys hit that follow button here in this corner or down below. Makeda, how we doing?
I'm doing fine, Cyrus. How are you?
I'm doing extraordinary. Week number 22, Makeda.
22.
And then day number.
We go ahead, week 22. We're winding down.
We are winding down. Are you feeling anything about that? About us coming to the end?
Relief.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Honest, Makeda.
I'm joking. I'm all in the rhythm of doing podcasting now. I've gone over the hump of nervousness. It's all good. I really enjoyed this, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, look, I've been enjoying it. Wait, I love that Makeda says relief. Look, I guess you figure I get my Thursdays back now. Hey, you won't have many left. There'll be 18 left by the time we wrap.
Oh, no, right?
But Makeda, this has been such a great. What I love about this book, and I feel it more and more as we've been going through, and definitely how today's message ties into last week's message and the message before that. So, if anyone is reading the book, let me say, if you're getting Makeda's book, Flying Over 50 at Any Age, even though it is split up into days, what I want to let you guys know is you don't have to wait till the next day to read it. You can just keep going, because she really is telling a story. She's telling a story of her challenges. She's sharing a story of her resilience, but also what has helped her to get to where she is. And the past 4 weeks in particular have all been kind of tied in together. So, Makeda, I want to ask you, because we never really talked about this. When you were writing the book, did it feel like you were writing a continuous story as far as chronological order? Is that just how the messages came to you?
It felt like I was writing in chronological order, because what I did was I reflected back on a certain period of my life, and I figured I would highlight that journey with how I got from here to there. And I guess it's kind of interesting because some people know me as a publicist, and some people know me as a pole dancer, pro-aging influencer. And so for the people who've known me as a publicist, it's like, well, how did she get from publicity to like pole dancing, pole aging influencer? And how did she still manage to do both? And so I thought the book gave me an opportunity to talk about that journey, because it wasn't a planned journey. And it was a journey that really came out of a lot of hardship. And so, it's really amazing for me that I'm still here, and that I'm, quote, like thriving again, even though I'm not thriving the way I was thriving before. I'm thriving in a different kind of way. But it's really been such an intense journey. So I thought it would be a good thing to share it, because it might inspire other people to think about their own journey.
Yeah, you said a couple of things there I want to go back to, Makeda. And this is something we haven't really discussed, because we've never really discussed about the order and how it came to you. Because like I said in my intro, especially these past few weeks, we can see definitely the tie-in, as we are kind of moving on. But you talked about how people know us. I've experienced that in my life for sure. I mean, people here in Mississippi, where I was born and lived most of my life, if you ask people what Cyrus Webb does, the majority of them know me for radio.
Okay.
Because the majority of Mississippi, they're not part of my Amazon audience. They're not part of what I do with books. as much as they are with radio, since radio is kind of my introduction for them. And then you have some people, like the younger people, know me for what I do in the arts. So it's
Hmm.
so interesting that you can be, like you said, be a celebrity publicist, and then what you've been able to do, with pole dancing, and it still be one thing. I want to talk about that for our audience. What do you hope they realize about not feeling like they have to choose? Because the world will still try to tell us, well, you need to
Yeah,
just choose this and do that. What do
yeah.
you hope your example does in showing them that they don't have to do that?
Well, one of my favorite words is that like we are multi-dimensional beings, so we are not just one faceted. And I
Right.
think in this day and age with like the internet and social media and everything, and us getting to interact and see other people's lives, I think there's a lot of like cross-pollination going on.
Hmm.
So I think more and more people are realizing you don't have to be one thing. You can be multidimensional. You can reinvent yourself. You can take up a new hobby and do something different, as opposed to like back in the days, I like say my mother and father's generation.
Hmm.
Like my mother was a school teacher, then she retired, and then she passed away. It never crossed her mind after being a school teacher, that was her only identity, and for that generation you adopted one role
Yeah.
and you kept that role for your entire life and you died under with that role.
Hmm.
Whereas today, you'll see people, especially like whether a baby boomer generation, my generation over 60, there are people who started in one career and now they're doing something different, and then
Hmm.
they're doing something on top of that. They're juggling so many different things and they're showing them across social media, and it's pretty much normalized now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that leads me to the second thing before we get into today's message. And
Uh-huh.
and I think and that is what you were talking about thriving. I think that
Mhm.
goes to perspective, right? Because
So,
people look at you today and you are a success to us, right? So
yeah.
do you feel like one of the things that this book and this project has done for you, Makeda, is help you redefine what success is for you?
Yeah, it's definitely redefined success, because success for me before was financial and material.
Hmm.
And then once all that was taken away from me, I had to redefine success. And now success for me is literally being at peace and having peace of mind and having good health and and having a calm, regulated nervous system.
Hey, look, we could all benefit from that in the world we're living in today. So we're going to dive into day 22. I'm going to pull it up on the screen, Makeda, for our
Okay.
audience. I'll be reading this week for you
Okay.
all who are joining us, and the message for today is no easy feat, and you see it's FEET here, and you'll see the connection there to the message. Training on the pole during my first year was beyond grueling. It was like my own personal boot camp. I woke up every day with my 50-year-old body feeling like it had been hit by a bus. I had sunk so deep in my depression, though, that I welcomed the pain. The body aches were my signposts that I was transitioning and transforming into something new. My newfound athleticism helped me keep my mind off my daily woes and worry about loss of income, losing my home, and the destruction of my former love life. I became a workout warrior of sorts and focused on learning and conquering the pole tricks I saw other students doing effortlessly. Then one day, quite by accident, I caught a glimpse of my back in the mirror. It was rippled with muscles. I was literally in shock. My intense training was not only assisting me with my mentals, but it was also reshaping my body. There were so many times I had almost given up my pole practice because I felt too old. It was so hard. My body ached so bad, and I was the slowest learner in the class. Who knew my push and perseverance were paying off? I guess the adage of no pain, no gain was proving true. My pain was gaining me wins, even though it was no easy feat, and definitely not easy on my feet. What journey are you on, or what journey have you been on that felt like it was dragging you through the mud spiked with rocks? Did you cry out and give up? Or did you cry out, carry on, and win? Pain is not fun, but the wins are phenomenal. And I was saying to Makeda, I love this picture, and I'm going to keep this up. So, Makeda, let's talk about this. When you think about this message, what is one of the big things that stands out to you about the transition you saw in yourself mentally as well as physically?
Yeah, just reading that, rereading it with you, it made me think about like I literally used to wake up every morning and felt like I had been hit by a bus. My whole entire body used to ache from head to toe. And some mornings I would wake up and I would be like, well, I guess this is what athletes go through. So maybe this is normal. And then some mornings I would wake up and say, like, why are you 50 years old and like killing yourself every day? You know? So you still there, Cyrus?
Yes, I'm here.
You are. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But then like literally one day I caught a glimpse of my back in the mirror and it literally threw me in shock because I think I was so like into my depression and mitigating my mental health and my depression. I wasn't really taking account of what these workouts were doing to me physically.
Mm.
And I just it just really wasn't paying attention. I just knew I ate every day and I just said, you're crazy because you're not supposed to be eating like this every day. And so the day I like literally saw my back in the mirror, I couldn't believe it was my back. And then I looked at my
Mm.
arms and I was like, oh my God, I am physically transforming my body.
Yeah.
And it really just energized me and made me want to move on because it was like it was physical proof that something good was happening,
Hmm.
you know, like mentally, like because my brain was like, you're crazy, you ache, you probably need to go see a chiropractor,
Oh,
you're
boy.
gonna fall over one day. Like my mental brain was like, why are you getting up to go to class? Why are you doing these crazy things? Like you why? And then when I finally saw my body, I was like, oh, that's why. So it was like part of the transition.
Mhm. You said something that I picked up on. You say I became a workout warrior of sorts and focused on learning and conquering the pole tricks I saw other students doing effortlessly. I want to talk about that because I think this brings up a big thing that a lot of people in life get into, Makeda, and that is looking at what other people are doing and letting that affect them. How
Yeah.
did you gain your focus of seeing what other people were doing, but staying focused on your own path?
Sometimes seeing what other people were doing just added to my depression. Because literally when I was in these classes, I was 50 at the time, and most of the other women in the classes were like 20s, 30s, and maybe there were some 40s. But no, very rarely was there someone 50 or older.
Mm-hmm.
And so that all played into my mental play of like, you're too old to be here. My brain would tell me you're too old to be here. And
Wow.
so I really used to have like mental battles with my brain. And when my brain would tell me I'm too old, I would have to create a story to counter that story. So I remember I used to tell myself, like, when my brain would like look around the class and see everybody doing tricks that it was taking me weeks to catch up. And I would be like, see, you're not even supposed to be here. Silly me. So when my brain, one side of me brain would tell would chastise me, and then the other side of my brain would say, but you're 50, and where would these same women be when they're 50? So like you've already conquered something. You've already like achieved something just by staying in the room, just by being here.
Right.
So don't be so hard on yourself. So I used to literally have like pro con dialogues. It sounds crazy, but when you're having negative talk in your brain,
Right.
you got to counter it with like positive talk. and
Mm-hmm.
and and I knew that So I had to stay true to that, and that's kind of what kept me on point. Otherwise, the negative talk would have just took over, and I never would have came back to class.
Yeah. And I love that you said that because I think that is the thing. I mean, you again are doing things that people half your age aren't doing,
Yeah.
right? And I think too, so many times we don't give ourselves the credit for things that we are doing instead of looking at the things that we are not. Talk to us about this picture. I was telling you this is a beautiful picture. Talk to
Oh,
us about this picture and the connection here.
I love that picture. That picture, I'm in the air and I'm holding myself up. It looks kind of crazy because I'm really just holding myself up with the arm behind my back and the arm on the pole, and my legs aren't even holding me up. And you can kind of see my back muscles, but I chose that picture because it shows the strength in my back that I had developed from
Hmm.
staying true to working out and just staying on the path.
Yeah. I think there's also another message here, and you actually said, I'll bring this back up before I take it off the screen. What journey are you on, or what journey have you been on that felt like it was dragging you through the mud, spiked with rocks? I love that wording because it's one thing to be dragged through the mud, right? It's a totally other thing to feel those sharp edges kind of
Yes,
along the way, right?
yes.
What do you want our audience to think about when it comes to that for themselves, Makeda, about the importance of asking themselves not only where they are, but what's keeping them stuck there?
Well, I think it's really important. Like I used to always hear no pain, no gain, but I never really like experienced no pain, no gain literally until then.
Mm.
Because there was like part of my brain when I wake up every morning, I was focusing on the pain. I would wake up every morning and be depressed and then try to move my body and be in pain. So it's like I was just torturing myself
Yeah.
and I was focusing on the pain. And then when I got a glimpse of my back in the mirror, like months and months later, whatever, I started to see the gain. And when you could focus on the gain, it kind of mitigates the pain and it makes the pain worth it.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess the ongoing method is just don't stop, keep
Hmm.
moving, our theme of moving,
Hmm.
and keep your eye on the prize and never give up. Everybody says never give up, but
Yeah.
you really can never give up.
Right. I love the fact that you had a visual, Makeda, of what we know to be true.
Yeah.
That is, change is happening to us, whether we recognize it or not. This
Yeah.
had been forming in you and you just happened to catch a glimpse of it, but it
Yes.
was already there. The
I
change was
know. It was
already there,
easy.
right? Yeah, yeah. I think that's a great message for our audience, no matter how small it may be,
Hmm.
because it doesn't have to be. I think what used to happen with me, Makeda, and you probably can relate to this too, and I want the audience to think about this. People a lot of times don't give themselves credit for the small wins,
Yes.
even if they don't reach the big goal. Like they may, and instead of saying, "Look at what I did," they focus so much on, "Well, I didn't do this, or I
Yeah,
didn't get
exactly.
this." I think a lot of times our minds would be so much better if we would give ourselves credit for where we have come from, and that's what it sounded like you were able to do
Yes.
by just that glimpse in the mirror.
Yeah.
Give yourself credit for that.
Yeah. It's the small and the baby steps
Hmm.
are what move you forward. It doesn't have to be huge leaps. If you
Yeah.
just stay steady on the course, you will eventually get there.
Do you think one of the things that's increased, this question just came to me, Makeda, to ask you, do you
Mhm.
think one of the things that's increased in you is your patience with yourself?
Oh my God, tremendously, tremendously. I used to have no patience, and now, like, no patience.
And see, that's hard for me to believe.
Yeah, patience was not my friend, and now, patience is everything.
Yeah.
Patience and staying in the now moment and just
Hmm.
honoring what's happening in the now moment and then realizing that energy carries you to the next moment. Energy carries you to the next moment.
Yeah.
Patience is like patience saves the day.
Love that. Yeah, that question just came to me. I was thinking about that because, I think a lot of times when we're going through a challenge in particular, we just want to get through it, right?
Yes.
We just want to get to the other side. But I think the connection with today's message with no easy feat is that sometimes we need that to toughen us, to strengthen us, to get us ready for the other thing that's coming. And so I
Yeah.
think, yeah, to not to try to rush that process. One of my friends here in Mississippi, Darius Ewing, he's an author. One of the things he writes with every post is trust the process.
Yes.
And I think if more people trusted the process, they would appreciate those little things, right? And where they're coming from, for sure.
That's so true. And I also want to say, like, especially like maybe younger people, but people downplay the benefits of aging. And like some of these messages, these blessings, these lessons, you can you can only acquire them through aging. You know,
Yeah.
like once you hit a certain age, it's like the wisdom starts kicking in, and you realize the beauty of patience. Patience is like such a huge gift. Patience will keep you calm, will keep you relaxed. Patience will call more blessings to you, you know? So it like people want to downplay aging, but aging is really like a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So is. Again, everyone, day 22 from Makeda Smith's book, Flying Over 50 at Any Age. The message, no easy feat. If you guys are on Amazon, I do appreciate the hearts over there. Make sure you guys, if you have not gotten it already, make sure you guys do get either the print edition or the Kindle edition. You get the Kindle edition there right now for only $5.99, or the print edition is $9.99 as well. And for those of you who are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you'll see the link for Amazon there too, for you guys too. Makeda, always a great section. I think another great message. How can our audience stay connected with you?
They can find me on my websites, Flying Over 50 and the Makeda Method, and on Instagram and across social media.
There you go. Well, Makeda, looking forward to next week and day number 23.
Thank you, Cyrus. This whole podcast has been an exercise in patience.
Okay, do you mean the podcast or dealing with me? Which one do you?
No, the podcast every week is like, like a start is like, oh my gosh, we have so many shows. I just want them to be over. But it's like, no, each show you just pace yourself.
Yeah, just be in the flow with it. Flow
with it, yes.
That's right. And we appreciate all of you flowing with us here at Flying Over 50 at Any Age. Until next week, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye, everybody.